Welcome to the Diary of the Discarded Daughter podcast, formerly the Chronicles of the Christian Drama Queen. I'm your host and the founder of Christian Drama Queen Solutions, Lisa Schaefer, and I'm glad that you are here. I know what it's like to think like a lover of Jesus, but live like a hot mess every day. And if you can relate, you're in the right place. Whether it's overcoming wounds of abandonment and abuse, living with the shame of infertility, dealing with addiction, or desperately searching for purpose in a painful past, stay with me, sister. I have walked down all of those roads, and I've got decades of healing and hope that God's called me to share with you today. So here we go. All right, here we go again. Indeed. Thanks so much for being here today, guys. So I will tell you, I have been struggling with a lot of illness. So here's the deal. Here's the problem. When you are called by God to do anything, it doesn't matter if it's write a book, do some speaking, maybe it's start a podcast. It doesn't really matter. When God calls you to do it, there is this great sense of urgency about it, because once you realize that's exactly what he's called you to do, you feel worse about not being able to get it done than you would feeling fear about having to do it. So does that make sense? When you think about it, I weep far more tears when I'm kept away from doing the work that he's called me to do than I ever wept about being called to do it and having a fear about having to get out there and do it. And so the last several weeks, in fact, probably since the first of the year, I have felt physically under attack by the enemy. And listen, I am not somebody that does not take their health seriously. I take supplements every day, very well scientifically researched supplements every day. I make sure that I get enough fiber. I make sure my probiotics are adequate. I drink a lot of water. I don't drink a lot of pop. In fact, maybe one a week. So I'm not somebody who doesn't take care of their health. And so I don't want a bunch of you sending me I don't want a bunch of you sending me messages and emails about how you've got the right answer to take care of my health. Because believe me, this is something that I research all the time. I'm not on any medications. I'm 61 years old as of first of this month. And I am on absolutely no medications. I don't take medications. I'm doing all supplementation. I battle high blood pressure naturally. I don't do a lot of sugar, so I battle high A1C without eating a lot of sugar. So there's just a whole. I don't do meds. I'm very health conscious. So please do not feel like me telling you I've been sick since the first of the year, off and on since the first of the year. This is not an invitation for you to send me all of the answers that you have for health and wellness, because I respect it. I respect all the things that you do. Many of you I have spoken with about things because, of course, like I said, I'm always on the search. I'm always trying to do things to be healthier. I am telling you that since I committed to share this message about the need for believers to break the bondage of bitterness in their lives and find a way to biblically forgive and love their perpetrators, ever since I started to get that message out, it has been one thing after another. Now, I've been podcasting. I'm in my second year. I wrote 2 Bible studies about the idea of dealing with forgiveness of those who've abandoned you. That's about parents. That's about forgiving your parents, and then also dealing with forgiving a perpetrator that abused me as a child. And so those 2 Bible studies are written. They're available. They're on Amazon. I built a tutorial out of those Bible studies, walking us through the concepts that we believe we are unloved and unwanted, unworthy, impossible to forgive. We're not seen by God. We're not protected by God. All of that stuff that the enemy uses to lie to us. I developed a curriculum to walk women through that process. I developed this podcast so that I could share little glimpses into those messages, and people would get an idea about what it is that I offer in my one-on-one uh, freedom facilitation. I don't call it coaching. I call it freedom facilitation because it's all God's word. It didn't come from me. I'm not going to coach you with something brand new. These are all the things the Lord has given to me over the course of the last 40 years. And I just found, I just wrote it down. I just did what he told me to do so I could share it. And I'm telling you that since I began working on this and sharing this information and reaching out to people who really need the freedom that can be given to them if they will forgive, it has been one thing after another. It has been one thing after another. I have been sick, or I've had issues hiring people for my business, the business that keeps the lights on. I have had issues with family. I've had illness issues with family. It has been one thing after another. I don't know, in all of my life, there's only been one other time in my life that I could tell you that I knew in the deepest depths of my heart, I was under attack. And that was when I was raising teenagers. And it wasn't them. It was just the enemy convincing me they had the wrong mother. But now what I'm going through is in some ways much harder, because I have shed more tears about not being able to get this message out, not being able to get the things done that I know God's given me to do, for whatever reason. I've shed more tears about that than I ever had about wondering what it was he wanted me to do, or having a fear about being able to follow through. I never shed tears about wondering if God really wanted me to share the message, but I have shed a lot of tears since I've figured out that this is the message he wants me to share. And when I can't get it out, it devastates me. It devastates me. And not because of me, not because there's something that I want out of this. Look, gang, I ain't making no money. This is not a big money-making venture. I do at some point in time feel like the Lord's called me to talk. I don't have a problem being in front of the microphone. I was a performing artist from the time I was 13 years old. I don't have a problem being on stage and singing or talking or giving testimony or sharing. I don't have a fear of that. But I do feel rather old. I feel 61 years of age is a little late to be starting a ministry and trying to reach out. And so I worry about the time that I have to get this message out. And obviously it's not my time. It's God's time. It's his timing. It is up to him how I reach, who I reach, and how I get the message out. But a constant barrage of physical problems, other business problems, equipment failure, those kinds of things. When you have that constant attack, when you feel this constant attack and you can't get into the position to share the message for whatever reason, and to be quite honest with you, most of the time I don't share the message because it's not perfect. I don't sound well. I got a hoarse throat. I feel raspy. I kind of sound like, Betty Davis or Kathleen Turner. That raspy stuff going on in my throat. I don't sound well. I don't sound like the FM radio announcer that I've always believed myself to be. And I'm critical of my programming. I'm critical of my set. I'm critical of my messy desk. I'm critical of the way the music sounds. I'm critical of the way I sound on the air. I'm critical of the way I look. You'll notice today, if you're watching the video, and I hope you are, go to YouTube and share with your friends. But listen, I don't have any makeup. I'm looking pretty pale in front of my brand new lighting setup. And I don't care, because I have gotten to the place. Here's the answer to the problem. The problem is not being able to get here and do the things that I know God's called me to do. Here's the answer. Do it anyway. You just got to do it anyway. How many times have you been called to do something and you will make every excuse in the book not to make it happen? Every excuse in the book. Well, I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the support. I'm not prayed up. I don't have the energy. I don't know what to say. Listen, if God has called you to do something, and here's my Here's what I usually tell people. If he's called you to jump, then you're not going to be safer on the edge of the cliff than you would jumping. Okay? Because if he's called you to jump, he expects you to jump. And he's going to make sure, even though you might get a little bruised and battered on the way down, he's going to make sure that you land safely wherever you're jumping to, if that's what he's called you to do. So, in my raspy voice and my unkept, unmade up face and my very dark studio with weird lighting, with the fan running on my computer, and you can hear it. I guarantee you can hear it. I don't have perfect sound equipment. I don't have a perfect podcast setup. There are all kinds of reasons that I can use to not do what God has called me to do. But let me be clear with you. Your freedom is more important to me than my comfort, than my belief that the podcast is perfect, than my belief that the workbooks are ready, than my belief that the tutorial product, the freedom facilitation work is killer, right? Your freedom is more important to me. And so I'm just going to start showing up, not looking ready and not sounding great, maybe coughing my way through, because I'm telling you, the enemy has beaten me up with health problems over the course of the last 3 months. It has been just one thing after another. But I can't not tell you. So let me tell you what we're going to start with next week's podcast. I want you to look forward to that. I'm going to do a workshop with you on 3 things you need to know about God when you were being abused. 3 things that you need to know about the Lord when you were in the middle of trauma. Okay? These are important things that we have to get a hold of, truths that we have to get a hold of. And we're going to start there with my next podcast. And I'm probably going to release them a little more often. I've been doing them once a week. And then what would happen is something would happen. I couldn't do it for 2 weeks. I was sick or whatever. We're just going to do them every time I can do them. Every time I can get on and do a program, I'm going to do it. Do an episode, I'm going to do it. Let me do a little housekeeping with you real quick. Please don't turn off the podcast because I said that. But you can find out a little bit more about me at ChristianDramaQueen.com. I am the founder of Christian Drama Queen Solutions, LLC, which is it's basically a business that reaches out to women in all different areas, whether it's infertility, home education, home organization, being an entrepreneur. And in this case right now, because of what the podcast focuses on, the Diary of a Discarded Daughter, we're actually focusing on being discarded in this podcast. That's what I focus on with my messages here. So, but you can find out a little bit more about me, see what I look like and all that if you go to ChristianDramaQueen.com. Okay. You can also sign up for 30 minutes of prayer time with me. We'll talk about the things that have triggered you. We'll talk about your unwillingness to forgive. We'll talk about the bitterness that you carry and what kind of life can you have if you let that go. Just go to calendar.christiandramaqueen.com and set up a time with me. That first visit with me is 30 minutes. Also, you can join me on Facebook. So the group name is Christian Women Forgiving the Unforgivable, Steps to Freedom. Okay. So you can find that Facebook group. I can invite you if you become friends with me on Facebook or follow me, or you can go to the group Christian Women Forgiving the Unforgivable, Steps to Freedom, and join us there. I'm doing a challenge right now. I'm offering some free services right now. I have a free 15-page biblical guide to forgiving the unforgivable that's available in the group and emails with me. Just get a hold of me, Lisa at ChristianDramaQueen.com, or find me on Facebook. Also, you can see all of my podcasts in YouTube format on YouTube. Just look for Christian Drama Queen on YouTube. And I'm there. I always put it inside the description as well on every podcast. So I hope you're able to join me there. Listen, I want you to know that when I come in here, so I've given you the problem and I've given you the solution. I'm just going to do it anyway. The problem is struggling to get it done. I'm just going to do it anyway. And here's what I believe the answer is going to be, or the actual result of that is going to be: freedom. The result is going to be that people find a way to get free. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to do it today for the Diary of a Discarded Daughter. Thanks for being here today, guys. Don't forget there are lots of ways to get a hold of me. You can certainly go to freedom.christiandramaqueen.com. You'll have access to some freebies from me. It's a great way to communicate things that are happening with the ministry. Also, don't forget that if you just want to book 30 minutes with me where we can talk and pray together, find out if you're ready to start walking down this path toward freedom, you just got to sign up. Calendar.christiandramaqueen.com. Pick a date and time. Calendar.christiandramaqueen.com. Of course, my Bible studies are available on Amazon, and if you email me that you'd like to have a copy of those, I can spiral bind them for you and send them right out of my office. Thanks again for sharing me with your friends and sending folks my way. And I love you.